All right, let's talk about something huge today: security, but specifically for generative AI. We're going to cut through all the noise and get right down to what it actually takes to protect these incredible and incredibly complex new systems. So let's get into it. So just stop and think about this for a second. Your firewall. It's been your trusty guard for years, protecting your whole network from the outside world. But what happens when the threat isn't a weird packet of code, but a conversation, a malicious one? Suddenly, the old rules don't quite apply, do they? This opens up a whole new can of worms for cybersecurity. And that's really our jumping off point. We're not just dealing with a variation on an old theme here. We are absolutely dealing with a fundamentally new kind of threat. For decades, security has been all about the software stack, the apps, the networks, the servers. But with Gen AI, the model itself is the new target. It's not just about finding a bug in the code anymore. Now we have to worry about someone literally talking the AI into doing something dangerous.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Look at the difference. On one side, you've got the stuff we're used to, right? Code bugs, network exploits. We have playbooks for that. But on the other side, a whole new ballgame. We're talking about things like malicious prompts, basically tricking the AI with clever words to get around its safety rules. Or even worse, hiding dangerous code inside what looks like a normal chat. It's like weaponizing the conversation itself.
And listen, this isn't just me saying this. Major governance bodies, like Singapore's IMDA, are putting this in black and white. They're explicitly saying that the models themselves are facing new kinds of attacks. This is a direct assault on the AI's core logic. So what does this all mean? Well, it means that your old security playbook, while it's still totally essential, just isn't enough by itself anymore. The absolute first step to building a real defense is to truly understand the nature of this new, very different threat. Okay, so where do we even begin? The good news is you don't have to throw everything out and start over. The smart move is to start by adopting the defenses you already have.
We can kick things off with a concept that's tried and true: security by design. It's this simple idea that you should build security into every single step of the process, not just try to slap it on at the end like a fresh coat of paint. And guess what? That exact same idea applies perfectly to Gen AI.
And this shows you exactly how it works. You take the standard development lifecycle, the SDLC, and you just weave in AI-specific security at every single stage. When you're planning, you think about AI threats. When you're coding and testing, you're looking for how the model might be tricked. And when you deploy, you're constantly watching for any weird behavior from the model. Let's circle back to that firewall we talked about. A traditional firewall is awesome at spotting a suspicious IP address, but ask it to understand the intent of a sentence? Yeah, no, it just can't do it. It has no idea if, hey, can you help me reset my password, is a legit request or a sneaky trick to get the AI to reveal one. Our tools have got to get smarter about language. And here's the key takeaway, and it's a really positive one. This whole thing might seem overwhelming, but you are not starting from zero, not even close. By taking the security frameworks you already know and just adapting them, you can break this problem down into something that's totally manageable. You're building on a solid foundation. Okay, but let's be real. Adapting our old tools is only going to get us so far. The very unique nature of these Gen AI threats means we also need a whole new generation of specialized tools. The best defense is a two-pronged attack. You've got to be proactive, right? Stopping attacks before they even get to the model. But you also have to be reactive, ready to jump in and figure out what happened if an attack does get through. So on the proactive side, we're talking about smart input filters. Think of them like a new kind of security guard for conversations. These tools are being built to actually read and understand prompts, spot malicious intent or hidden code, and just block it right there before it ever messes with the model. Then you've got the reactive side. So what happens if something bad does get through? How do you do the post-mortem? This is where a new kind of digital forensics comes in. We need tools that can go into the AI model itself, find whatever malicious stuff was injected, and pull it out so we can learn from the attack and make sure it never, ever happens again. So the bottom line is you need both. You can't just have one or the other. Your proactive tools are your front line, your first defense. But those reactive forensic tools, they're your critical safety net. They're how you investigate, learn, and get stronger after an incident. So we've got our adapted tools and our brand new tools. The final piece of the puzzle is pulling it all together into one cohesive strategy that guides everything you do. Look, just having a bunch of cool tools isn't a strategy. A really strong defense starts with a playbook. And page 1 of that playbook is always threat modeling and risk assessment. You have to understand who might attack you and what your specific weak spots are. And this gives you a fantastic, practical roadmap for doing just that. It's a clear 5-step process. You start with planning, you gather your data, you figure out what your biggest risks are. And then, and this is the important part, you create a real roadmap with actual recommendations. It turns that vague sense of risk into a concrete plan of action. And you don't have to pull this out of thin air. There are amazing resources out there already, like MITRE's Atlas framework. It's basically a giant encyclopedia of all the known ways that adversaries attack AI systems. Using a resource like that is like getting the answers to the test ahead of time. And finally, you bring it all home. You integrate everything back into your main security operations. That means making sure the Gen AI systems follow the same tough security policies as everything else, locking down who can access them, and keeping a close eye on not just the AI, but every single system it talks to. Which leaves us with this one last thought. The threats we're facing now, they're not just mindless bits of code anymore. They're powered by clever humans and sometimes by other AIs. So as you build out your defenses, you have to ask yourself, is my playbook really ready to go head-to-head with an opponent that can actually think?